Are you a procrastinator or are you just lazy? And how do you know the difference? Well, if you don't understand the difference between those two, you could be using the wrong strategy to try to solve the problem. Let's start with lazy, because lazy is a biology problem. What do I mean by that? Well, we have an inner world and an outer world. Most people are familiar with that, a physical and non-physical part of ourselves. The physical being the body, the non-physical being the personality, the sense of self, your hopes, dreams, goals, values. But laziness is linked to biology. And the reason is that your body has two primary factors that evolutionarily are driving you. The first is the fact that our sense of calories, or the value we place on calories, is very high. Because if we go back in our ancestry, calories were a scarce commodity. Yeah, our ancestors didn't know where our next meal was coming from. Contrast that with today, where the main problem for many people is too much calories, too many. So if your body prioritizes energy conservation, you are naturally going to be drawn to the path of least resistance when it comes to putting out energy. The other aspect is the fact that your nervous system is hardwired for comfort. Meaning that if you're standing too close to a fire, it's going to get you to move away. If you are walking over sharp stones, it's going to give you feedback. Yes, we are wired to be comfort-centric from a nervous system and from a path of least resistance when it comes to calorie conservation. And so if we are identified too much with our body, then we are going to be inherently lazy when it comes to trying to do stuff. And people obviously call that a lack of motivation problem. It's not motivation, you're fighting biology. Now, procrastination is not a biology problem, it's a psychology problem. Because as human beings, the bigger part of us, the non-physical, actually has a primary fear. And that primary fear is the fear that we're not enough. Not good enough, not tall enough, short enough, rich enough, certain enough, whatever it may be. We all have a fear that we're not enough. And the problem is that in society today, that fear has been linked to failure. In other words, if I fail at something, it triggers the fear that I'm not good enough. And we would do almost anything to avoid that. So when it comes to procrastination, it's not a motivation problem. We're doing stuff. That's why motivation doesn't cure procrastination. You've probably already tried that. It'll cure getting off the couch if you're bored watching Netflix, but it won't cure you putting stuff off. Now, how do you know if you're procrastinating? I'll give you 3 keys. Firstly, do you know what to do, but you're just not doing what you know? In other words, it's not a lack of skills, it's not a lack of know-how. You know exactly what you should be doing, you're just not doing it. That's one. Second, prioritization. How are you prioritizing? If you're prioritizing the easy things to do first before the things you really should be doing but are a little harder, that is a sign of procrastination. Now, why do we do that? You've got 100 things on your to-do list and you end up getting 90 of them done and you think you're doing really well, but really the 10 that didn't get done were the 10 that really should have got done. But you're putting them off. Why? Because you're doing the easy things first. They're the things that will lead you further away from the fear of failure. The things that you know you can do, the easy things. So therefore, there's less risk of failure and less risk of you triggering the fear that you're not enough. Now, the third thing is really checking the shape of your butt. Yes, you heard me. Procrastinators have a very uniquely shaped butt. What do I mean by that? It means that you are an excuse machine. Well, I could do that and I know how to do that, but I've got this other really important thing to do instead, like cleaning out my cupboard. Well, I know I should do that, but right now I just have to take care of this other thing, whatever it may be. See, people that have conquered procrastination have a different shaped butt. They turn around and say things, well, I know that this will be difficult and there may be a chance I won't complete it, or there may be a chance that I will fail, but I'm going to find a way, but I'm going to do it anyway. They have a different use of the word but. So if any of those 3 resonate to you, chances are you're procrastinating. Now, what procrastination is, it is a self-defense mechanism for you to avoid the fear of failure. Now, largely unconscious. Nobody wakes up and says, how can I screw up my life today? Let's procrastinate on the things that will help me live my dreams. No. So what's really going on? Well, look at it this way. If you know that you've got to do something, let's say, write that business plan or that marketing plan, or go and have the conversation that is uncomfortable, and you keep putting it off, you know what to do, you're just not doing what you know. What the unconscious part of us is saying is that if I do it and I fail, it'll trigger the fear that I'm not good enough. So what I'll do is I'll distract myself with something that I know I can achieve to really put distance between me and that possibility. Now, the obvious fact when you look at it is the fact that we are failing by not trying, but our minds won't tell us that. So in order to get over procrastination, we first have to become comfortable with understanding that failing at something doesn't mean I'm a failure. In fact, being a failure means not trying. Now, if that was the wiring, there'd be no procrastination, because we'd be more motivated to get out of our comfort zone, or more motivated to go and do something that could take us towards our goals by taking those risks than avoiding the risks in the first place. Now contrast that with being lazy. Lazy is simply too identified with our body, and therefore we've got no reason to want to grow. We don't realize that life is not a comfort-centric experience, it is a growth-centric experience. And lazy people are people that have got comfortable inside of their comfort zone, and they've got no interest in growing because they're listening to their biology, not their soul. Then they don't realize they're wired for growth. Everything in nature grows and contributes, or it's taken out of the food chain. So being lazy, you solve that by getting more identified with your purpose, with meaning, with why you're here, with going to be able to get out there and look for a gift that you have to be able to give to the world, to get beyond your comfort zone. In fact, it's not really a comfort zone, guys. It's a familiarity zone. The paradox is, the more you stay inside your comfort zone, the less comfortable life becomes, because it's giving you the feedback that that's not where you should be. Whereas you go to procrastination, get comfortable with the fact that failure is part of the process. If I said the third business that you would start would be the one that would make you financially free, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm not going to start the first two in case I fail. No, it'd be how fast can I get through those two to get to number 3? If I said that the soulmate, the relationship that becomes the most loving, incredible experience of your life will be the 5th person that you ask out, and the other 4 are going to say no, who do you think you are, punching above your weight? All right, what are you going to say? Oh, I'll never go through those 4 rejections, and I'm going to stay lonely for the rest of my life? No, you say, how fast can I get 4 no's so I can get to the yes that I want? That's the angle that we're looking at here. Now, all of that takes self-mastery, because once you've conquered that, the entire world opens up. If you want to have the health that you want, if you want to have the body, the relationship, the fulfillment, the joy, the career, all of that is going to include fear of failure, is it not? All of that is going to require you to be able to get up and have a purpose bigger than yourself, so you're not stuck on the couch with your thumb up your ass, being lazy, pretending that you're not here to serve a greater purpose. How do you do that? Self-mastery. Not trying to learn new skills. See, people that stay in school too long are really following the procrastination route. They're saying, I don't want to get out into the big wide world where there's more uncertainty. I'd rather stay within the certainty of a framework that can give me a certificate to give me more certainty when I get there. Never happens. So if you really want to take the next leap, you want to focus on the one thing that's going to make the difference in your life, that's going to solve procrastination, it's going to solve self-sabotage, it's going to solve being lazy or not knowing what your purpose in life is. It is to master your sense of self, to be able to conquer your inner fears, your limitations. People like that show up in the world differently. They have a different energy, a different vibration, a different spark, and you can be one of those people.